Imagine standing on solid ground, and within minutes, that very earth beneath your feet vanishes into a furious tide. The sky doesn't weep, it screams. Thunder cracks open the heavens like a whip, and what follows isn't just rain. It's a war between sky and soil. And the people of China, millions of them, have found themselves trapped in the crossfire. On the night of August 1st, Guangdong province was hit first. A storm built like no other, erupting in the Baima mountains with violent force. Lightning slashed through the clouds, revealing towering cliffs and narrow trails now swallowed by night. The rain came not as droplets but as walls, crashing, deafening, drowning everything in their path. 5 young people, full of life, laughter, and plans for the weekend, ventured into the mountain for a simple outing. Within hours, they were gone, swept into darkness by waters no human could fight. At 8:22 p.m., a desperate call reached the emergency center in Guangdong County. People swept away by the flood. Baima Mountain. 5 missing. The line crackled. Then silence. But that silence sparked action. Sirens cut through the storm. Red lights raced through winding roads. More than 1,300 rescuers mobilized. They climbed through blackness, over jagged rocks and shifting earth. Their flashlights barely cut through the sheets of rain. They shouted names into the void, hoping the mountain would echo back with a voice. But it never did. Rescuers searched ravines, river bends, dense bushes. They battled landslides, hidden currents, and fatigue. Families waited in horror, holding on to hope that with each radio update, their child, their sibling, their friend might still be alive. But hour after hour, that hope dimmed. The storm showed no mercy. Across Guangdong, nature turned its wrath to the cities. Torrents of rain crashed onto rooftops. Roads buckled. Bridges snapped. Hundreds were evacuated in the dead of night as homes became islands. In Nanfeng town, nearly 260 millimeters of rain fell, enough to bury neighborhoods. In Fengkai and Huaiji, roads crumbled. Schools flooded. Thousands were left stranded, without power, light, or answers. Meanwhile, the disaster grew beyond Guangdong. Qinghai, Ningxia. These regions, dry lands where rain is usually a blessing, were battered with such intensity that the earth gave way. Mountains cracked open. Rivers surged. Entire villages were isolated under mud and rock. The Ministry of Water Resources issued the highest level flood alert, not just because of numbers, but because lives were clearly in danger. Every river became a weapon. Every mountain a threat. In the heart of Baima Mountain, 2 days passed. Then, finally, they were found. All 5. Lifeless. Among them, a 17-year-old whose dreams were just beginning. A weekend plan turned into 5 funerals. A mountain trail became sacred ground. And the country, still soaked in rain, fell into mourning. The grief rippled fast. On Chinese social media, Baima Mountain became a national wound. Photos of the storm, dark skies, red floodwater, circulated with captions that read like prayers. They only went to have fun, one wrote. But now we only have silence. But the storm wasn't done. On the morning of August 4th, the city of Shantao came to a halt. A critical hub for rail transportation shut down. 26 trains canceled. Thousands stranded, peering through rain-covered glass, waiting for answers that didn't come. Schools were closed. Sirens rang out not once, not twice, but endlessly. Red, orange, and yellow warnings flashed like beacons of panic. In just 24 hours, over 9 towns had recorded more than 250 millimeters of rain. But it wasn't just Guangdong now. Even Beijing, 2,000 kilometers away, was gasping under the weight of the sky. 5 districts raised red alerts. Mintugu, Fangshan, Huar, Feng, Shijingshan, all mountainous, all now water traps. Meteorologists whispered what no one wanted to say: this is unlike anything we've ever seen. Rivers climbed past thresholds. Underground metro stations became underwater tunnels. Cars floated like paper toys. Entire streets disappeared into brown, swirling currents. In Chengdu, the streets weren't streets anymore. They were rivers. Buses stalled mid-drive. Scooters abandoned. Sidewalks cracked open. Power lines sparked. Internet vanished. Downstairs apartments turned into tombs of water. In homes, children were lifted onto tables. Furniture floated like debris in an endless sea. Some tried to save what they could, a photo, a phone, a blanket, while others just grabbed loved ones and ran. Emergency workers didn't sleep. Bright yellow raincoats dashed through flooded alleys. Pumps were set up. Bulldozers pushed mud off crumbled roads. Shelters opened in schools, temples, government buildings. But how do you shelter a city submerged? How do you bring comfort when the next rain is only hours away? In the countryside, landslides collapsed hillsides into roads. Villages disappeared overnight. Rural bridges vanished. There were no more cars, only boats, some handmade from whatever floated. Inside cities, supermarket aisles filled with fruit bobbing in muddy water. Clothing stores ruined. Restaurants wiped out. Generators roared in the darkness. But what powered the people wasn't electricity, it was each other. Neighbors checked on the elderly. Volunteers knocked on doors. Water trucks arrived. Food kitchens opened. And everywhere, people swept, mopped, and rebuilt even before the rain stopped. But each time they dried off, another storm returned. This is the horror of chain disasters. One rainstorm doesn't end the trauma, it becomes the prelude for the next. The land has no time to dry, and the people have no time to grieve. That is why the Chinese government activated one of the most widespread emergency protocols in recent memory. Multiple high-level response teams. Special command centers. But even the strongest government cannot hold back the sky. As rain continued, millions in low-lying regions faced a horrifying truth. If the next wave hits, we might not make it out. Families clung to rooftops. Children wept in arms too tired to comfort them. Elderly citizens stared back at homes lost beneath water, land they'd walked for decades now too dangerous to touch. Then the lights went out. Phone towers failed. Entire towns vanished from the map, not by distance, but by silence. No contact. No news. Just fear. And still, the rain came. It came as thunder, as silence, as cold, hard truth. In the face of such fury, one can't help but ask, is this the new normal? Will our future be measured in red alerts and rainfall charts? Will another 5 young people vanish on another mountain next month? Right now, across China, red alerts are still flashing. Waters are still climbing. Families are still praying. And in the hearts of millions, one hope remains, that the skies will show mercy. That the rain will finally stop. That maybe, just maybe, this is the last storm of its kind. But deep down they know, it might not be. So remember the names we never got to hear. The lives that ended too soon. The mountains that now carry ghosts. The streets that turned to seas. And the people who kept going. Kept searching. Kept sweeping, hoping, surviving. This is more than a natural disaster. This is a story of loss, of strength, and of a country learning to breathe through the storm.